A 3-year-old Wichita boy found dead in what police call a concrete structure. His mother and her boyfriend arrested. Could this tragedy change the face of the coming governor's election? The state makes more money in August than expected, but does that mean we're finally in an economic recovery? We talked to those elbow deep in trying to fix Kansas finances. Stabbings, riots, and mattress fires at Kansas prisons. Bad news for the State Department of Corrections as it faces off against commercials like this from the Sedgwick County Sheriff's Office in an effort to attract new guards. And it made national news, a coming rollback on a program allowing children brought by their parents undocumented into the country to stay, study, and work here. What does that mean for Kansas? All that starting right now on Kansas Week. It's the story that's dominated national headlines, an end to DACA, an Obama-era immigration program, and it could have a big impact on Kansas to the tune of empty jobs and lost profits. I'm Pilar Pedraza. Welcome to Kansas Week. With anywhere from 6,000 to 15,000 people in Kansas on the Dreamer list, President Trump's plans to end the DACA program could cost the state money while turning lives upside down. DACA is a program President Obama started in 2012. It allows undocumented immigrants brought into the U.S. as children who have no criminal history and are under 30 years old to live, work, and study here. DACA recipients have to renew their paperwork every 2 years, and getting on the list does not give them citizenship. Obama began the program with an executive order, often criticized as being illegal. That's the reasoning the Trump administration has used for phasing out the program over the next 6 months. President Donald Trump says it's now up to Congress to replace the program. Critics doubt that's possible in the 6 months it's been given. The announcement immediately led to rallies in support of Dreamers, those undocumented children of immigrants who've remained in the U.S. under the DACA program, including right here in Wichita.
I'm devastated. I'm not sure what my next step will be, but I'm just scared for my education. I'm not sure what will happen after.
Thousands of Dreamers brought to Kansas as children had been promised freedom to live here as long as they kept a clean record and paid a fee. But now that promise has been taken away by President Trump, who says children shouldn't benefit from their parents breaking immigration law.
We're not criminals. As everybody can see it, we work hard. I worked so hard. I did dishwasher, busing tables, prep salads, working doubles. I did everything to be where I'm at right now. I thank God for that, and I thank DACA and this country for this.
The Trump administration's announcement leaves more than 800,000 Dreamers nationwide in limbo. Many Dreamers came here so young, they have no idea what they would do if they were forced to go home to a country they don't even remember.
I want to continue. I want to have a career. I want to build something for myself. Without DACA, then am I going back? Do I have to start all over? I don't remember anything.
It's a foreign country to me. I don't know the Pledge of Allegiance there. I don't know the national anthem. It's kind of embarrassing, but I've prioritized this as my home and what I've learned here. And so, quote unquote, go home, I think I'm already here.
And that is from our Justin Kramer reporting. We have had so much conversation about this on the streets across Wichita. Today we have joining us Suzanne Tobias from the Wichita Eagle. You were at that rally immediately after the announcement, as were you, Mayra Salas-Diaz, who you are a recipient of the DACA program, and Dr. Russell Arbin Fox from Friends University here to offer a little bit of political insight on this as well. Let's start off with Mayra. As you were hearing this, what's your first reaction to this announcement that you hear coming down?
Well, my first reaction was I was angry, angry and frustrated. I mean, it puts us back in a limbo. You know, we don't know what's going to happen, so it's definitely a scary thought to think of what's going to come next.
And I'm sure you heard that a lot, Suzanne.
Yes, what struck me is these are kids, a lot of them, high school and college age kids are shortly, after college working, and they don't remember, as your piece said, they don't remember any other country. This is the country they grew up in. So there's a lot of fear about being deported to a place that they've really never been or don't remember. So there's just a lot of anxiety, it seems like, and legitimately so, I think.
And I've spoken with a lot of folks, politicians and people on the street who say, we don't necessarily want to hurt people who've grown up as Americans, but we need to fix the immigration system. And Dr. Fox, I know as we look at fixing immigration, that's easier said than done. DACA came about because Congress couldn't pass the DREAM Act.
It couldn't pass the DREAM Act, and it couldn't do anything, or it couldn't decide upon anything that addresses the ambiguity that Myra was talking about. We have a situation in the United States where there are hundreds of thousands of people who have lived their entire lives here, who have built lives for themselves here, have built families here, have developed professions here, and they live in legal limbo. The effort of the Obama administration through this executive order, which admittedly, was at least constitutionally questionable. It was clearly within his prerogative to order that kind of action, but it went far beyond the norms of previous presidential executive orders. But the reason for that action was this ambiguity, was the paralysis in Congress and the need to find some sort of way to make the lives of people like Myra a little bit more settled, to allow them to maintain their status as students and as workers and as contributing members of society, giving them a little bit of gray area, a little margin of area in which to work in. That's all that DACA was trying to do.
And my understanding also with the legality of it is the weasel around, as my husband would call it, that the president and his staff used to say that it was legal, is that it was decided on an individual case basis. It wasn't an across-the-board ruling.
There was language like that was involved, but however you want to strike it, however you want to look at the language, the fact remains that President Obama felt that before he left office, he needed to do something to resolve this large and growing limbo that so many people lived within. And since he wasn't going to be able to accomplish it with Congress, he felt, well, let me see if I can find a way to at least do it to a limited extent, this 2-year period and so forth, through an executive order. And that's what President Obama is taking away. As president now, he can reverse previous executive orders. The fact that he didn't do it instantly, but instead gave it a 6-month deadline is a really interesting political move on his part.
Well, I'm not sure there's any less ambiguity now than there was before. President Trump has said Congress has 6 months, and after that, I may review it again. So, everyone is. I think the limbo is very much there. I think school counselors are in a really tight spot now. They, high schools in Wichita, which is one of the most diverse school districts in the state, counsel their students through, help navigate the DACA application process and show them how to apply to colleges and where to possibly get scholarship money. Right now, I don't think any of them really know what they're going to be doing.
Yeah. And we just, shortly before the taping of this show, heard from the superintendent a statement on this. Rather heartrending, really, the words that she used.
Yeah, she says the Tuesday's announcement, this is Alicia Thompson, the superintendent for Wichita Schools. Tuesday's announcement to dissolve the DACA program has upended the lives of some of the very students who contribute to the beautiful diversity I'm so proud of in our school district. She talks about it not being right, and she came out very strongly against it today, as a lot of urban superintendents have.
You've seen similar statements from the president of Wichita State University, the president of Friends University. People fully understand that whatever the limitations of DACA, it at least provided some degree of settlement for people whose whole lives have been a legal limbo. And now that settlement has been disrupted.
Myra, you've been operating underneath DACA for a while now. You're attending, I believe, Butler University or Butler Community College. I keep trying to make community colleges universities. I don't know what
they
it is
like
with
that.
Me. Yeah. I think every school after high school should be a university, I guess. But anyway, you're attending Butler, and the question for you is, what's next?
Yeah.
Do you get to continue doing that?
Well, as of right now, I mean, we're not clear exactly on what's going to happen. We know that the only actual information, that we have is that anybody whose permit expires before March 5th is still eligible to go ahead and send in their applications. But other than that, I mean, anybody whose expires after that, we don't know. Unfortunately, mine expires after that time period, so I'm still questioning what's going to happen. I mean, obviously, the DACA program allowed me to work, and I needed to work in order to continue my school. So if I'm unable to work, I'm unable to go to school, and I won't be able to further my education as many of the DACA recipients are as well. So.
Well, and talking about unable to work beforehand, we were talking a little bit, and you said this is about more than just the recipients. Right. Economically, it affects all of us.
Right. I mean, like I said before, it's we all contribute to the community, to the economic growth of our city, our state, our country. So, I mean, as of right now, what's going to happen? Like you guys mentioned, as far as I know, there's about 7,000 DACA recipients here within Kansas. It may seem like a small amount compared to the rest of the states, such as California, but I mean, it's a lot of us who work and contribute.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. That's the only thing we can do. Thank you three so much for joining us to shed a little bit of light on this topic. I'm sure it's not going away. A Wichita family's tragedy could change the face of the coming gubernatorial election. Over the weekend, police found the missing 3-year-old grandson of Democratic candidate for governor Carl Brewer dead, his body hidden in what police called a concrete structure. Police say the landlord called them to this home due to a foul odor discovered during cleanup after an eviction. Investigators found 3-year-old Evan Brewer's body inside a concrete structure they'd removed from the home. Officers arrested the boy's mother and her boyfriend. His paternal grandfather, Carl Brewer, is seeking the Democratic nomination for Kansas governor. On his Facebook page, Carl Brewer thanked the public for its support, saying he and his family would take the time to grieve, but he would return to the campaign trail soon. Certainly, this loss is horrific for the Brewer family, and we wish to add our condolences to so many others they've received in the last few days. But the question I'm hearing raised now is, does this mean the end of Carl Brewer's run for governor, or does it mean that he has a better chance? Joining us to take a look at this and other legislative issues, we now have Representative Tom Sawyer, a Democrat from Wichita, and Representative Stephen Johnson, a Republican from Assaria. Thank you so much for joining us here. Certainly not an easy topic to discuss, and we wish to be as careful of the Brewer family's feelings as we can. But there are political implications on this. You've already seen this in the House with Representative Scott Schwab's son's death a year ago. What can that teach us about what we're seeing this time around? Tom, what have you seen?
Well, it's too early to tell politically how this is going to affect the governor's race, I think, but certainly a lot of sympathies for the family. I mean, this is very sad and has to be devastating for the Brewer family. I haven't had a chance to talk to Carl since this broke, but I know that's got to be really tough on him. But, I think politically it could go either way. I mean, it could, some people could find a sympathy for what happened, and it could actually maybe help him a little bit. On the other hand, it may be so devastating he decides to drop out. But I think it's too early to tell how that'll go. But it's just a horrible situation.
And this is fundamentally something that has to begin with the Brewer family, with his decision, Carl's decision itself. The way he presents himself in the wake of this news. The use that he makes of it, or the way in which he avoids it, it's going to have an effect on how his rivals for the Democratic nomination and how his possible rivals, if he gets the nomination for the contest in the general election, respond. I think the appropriate thing is for all of us to just wait and see how Carl Brewer himself and his family express themselves.
Wow.
And we're early. There's time. Hopefully he's able to take the time and handle the family issues that need to happen, and I'm sure that the potential fellow candidates would wish him the best in working through that.
I have no doubt. And I know on his political Facebook page, he did post a statement saying, as a family, we're going to take the time to grieve and then get back to the campaign trail soon. So at least at this point, he is indicating that he plans to stay with it. The other thing that I have found interesting about this case is that there had been calls to DCF. There had been concerns about Evan's safety from his father, and attempts to find Evan and his mother before all of this came about. The Brewer family at this point has declined to say whether or not they believe there is any failure point with DCF, but we certainly know with the audits we've seen over the last year or two that there has been a history of issues with DCF. Does this bring the concerns about DCF back to the forefront for you guys, Stephen?
It would continue to. Certainly this is a case that's devastating for this family. I worry about the others that have happened as well. I don't happen to sit on the committees that deal with that, so my depth isn't there to look at exactly what the issues are, but very definitely it is something we have to figure out, what resources are required to do the job right as well.
And I certainly think it puts a highlight again on an ongoing issue of concerns with DCF, and and who knows? I said it's too early to tell how this will play out, but it could make that issue a bigger issue in the governor's race. I mean, who knows? Yeah. We still know.
It's certainly easy to imagine, and anybody who's politically informed probably has already imagined ways in which questions about Carl Brewer's family, questions about DCF could play out between the different Democratic candidates for the nomination, and the way it could play out in the general election as Carl Brewer, the first African American to make a serious run for Kansas governor, tries to present himself to the general population. But again, it all is going to have to begin with Carl Brewer himself, with him as a man and as a candidate. How is he going to talk about this, or is he going to talk about this?
And I guess we can only wait and see. Now, you had brought up the concerns about, or I guess, Steve, you had about financing changes to DCF, and certainly state finances continue to be a problem. We're still waiting to see what sort of financial state Kansas is in come election night. Right now, things do seem to be looking up, though.
Kansans paid $8 million more in taxes than expected last August. This despite paying less in personal income taxes than the experts had predicted. Retail sales tax and corporate income taxes more than made up for it. The change comes after lowering expectations and passing a major tax overhaul, raising personal income taxes and eliminating a business tax exemption. The question: is this enough to match the 2.5% annual growth in taxes collected that Kansas needs to pay its bills?
And this has been an ongoing issue in Kansas for years now. You guys have been elbow deep in it for the last year as members of the House Budget Committee. First off, is this truly a positive look forward? Does July and August results tell us anything after the tax overhaul?
Well, it's awfully early to tell from just 1 or 2 months, but always it's better to have a positive number than a negative number. I mean, if the numbers are negative, that just keeps digging that hole deeper. Although we have to realize, the estimates have been lowered several times. I mean, so the fact that it may just be a case where we finally lowered the estimates enough that we got it right now, and we're able to meet those. But it's early to tell. I just hope they stay positive, because it's going to be a very tough road. I mean, we made a very good first start the session of stopping digging the hole and trying to turn around the budget situation in Kansas. But it took several years for us to get in this bad a shape, and it's going to take a while to dig out of it. And we still have some big issues ahead. I mean, roads, we haven't been funding we've been taking money from KDOT now for 8 years, so that money needs to be made up. We have the school issue, the whole school finance issue. We have the issue with state employees haven't gotten a pay raise for 10 years until this year, and even then some did not. So, I mean, it's a tough situation. You've seen the stuff that's happening in corrections. So we've got a lot of big issues ahead of us. But obviously, any positive number is good. It's better than being negative.
For sure.
And it's encouraging as we look at where the money is coming from. The sales tax revenues being up is encouraging, that the economy hasn't been hit, at least directly, with the worry of the increase in tax. That was one of the concerns. An increase does tend to be a drag on the economy wherever you take it from. But particularly to see that number coming in consistently, even in June as well as in July and August, is encouraging. The corporate income tax receipts are meaningfully higher. I don't think we know why that is, but that's a very pleasant surprise to get to have to work out, one that we'll need to measure. When we'll know a little more when we get to the November estimate, it will be interesting to see if we're at a point that we're able to revise upward by a meaningful number. If we see something in the 50 or 100 million revision upward, that would be a great sign, and maybe one of the first ones that we'd have some hard data on. Otherwise, a lot of it will come in April. But can continue to talk about the budget. Is it enough? Is it too much? That was the debate of the entire session. There are people who remain on both sides of that debate. As we look at the issues that we are seeing that were mentioned, there are certainly other needs for funding, other opportunities for investing. We just have to continue to decide together how much of those we are able to do.
I would only add to what Tom and Steve have said that, as Tom insisted, any positive number is a good number, but we're still a ways off from knowing whether it's the sort of thing that is really going to be able to effectively address the budget problems we have and be able to provide a solid building block to build solutions to that. Part of the problem is that so much remains unknown. Tom and I were talking before the show about the fact that everybody had expected the Supreme Court to issue the second part of its ruling on the school funding case, which is the one that has actual numbers attached to it. And they're taking their sweet time with it. So that's a little frustrating.
Yeah. Well, and speaking politically, how important is it as we go into the re-election races of 2018, the governor's race 2018, to have a good idea of how well the tax overhaul is working? I know there's a conservative element within the State House that has told me many times that they plan on using votes for the tax overhaul against candidates. Mm-hmm. How big of a deal is that going to be?
It's going to be a very big deal, but how big of a deal it will be depends on which candidate you're talking about. So you have, for instance, Chris Kobach, who, in response to the overturning of Governor Brownback's tax plan, he started talking about the need to drain the swamp, using Trump language to talk about the legislature up in Topeka. He's obviously positioning himself as someone who wants to hang that vote around the neck of moderate Republicans and Democrats. Lieutenant Governor Collier, if he runs for governor, which presumably he will, it's going to be interesting to see how he positions himself in regards to all of this. So depending on which candidate we're talking about, the big deal could be a much bigger deal than for others.
All right. And we've been watching the governor's race for months. We'll keep watching it. As far as finances, one place the state desperately needs more money, it's prisons. More trouble in the last week, from stabbings to a riot, as the State Department of Corrections struggles to find enough guards to keep the peace.
First, a stabbing sends an inmate at El Dorado Prison to the hospital. This as guard staffing levels remain far below standards, and many continue to work 12 and 16-hour shifts there. Then, a riot Tuesday at the low-security prison in Norton. Kansas correction officials confirm inmates threw rocks, rushed out into the prison yard, and started mattress fires. They say some parts of the housing unit at Norton are now uninhabitable. The prison has now transferred 100 inmates elsewhere, though corrections officials say it was for security reasons, not because of the damage. The governor has authorized pay raises for state prison guards, but is that enough to counteract the higher pay and safer duties at county jails? Can the state fight against counties like Sedgwick that has begun running TV commercials like this in its attempt to find more guards?
And let's start with that question. Can the pay raises that the governor has authorized right now, out of the money that the state already has, so a temporary issue, counteract things like this commercial coming in from Sedgwick County? Tom.
Again, it's a start. I mean, but the pace, we have gone so long. Again, state employees overall, not just corrections officers, hadn't had a general pay raise in 10 years. So we have gotten so far out of whack. When other states are paying their prison guards 50% more than Kansas is, it's really hard to compete with that. A 5% raise, a 10% raise helps, certainly does. It may help us keep some of the people that are leaving, because we have a huge rate of attrition. Maybe that'll go down a little, but the reality is we're still, even with a small pay increase, still way under the market pay, and we're still going to lose people to places like Sedgwick County and to other states. But it's certainly a start, but we have a long ways to go, and we've got a lot of issues with the prisons that we have to deal with.
Keep in mind that pay raises, while obviously much needed and very valuable, are just one step in fixing a corporate or institutional or organizational culture. If you've had low pay for a long time, you're going to have high levels of turnover. High levels of turnover are going to result in a certain mindset to how business gets done within the organization. And new people come in and they absorb that, and that reflects in their work. So if you want to turn things around, yeah, you need to raise pay and attract better people, but you've also got to keep those people and keep those pay raises in order to begin to change the internal culture of the organization.
Well, yeah, and talking about that, I have friends and their children also as well who work at the El Dorado prison, and they've spoken with me off the record, behind the scenes, and others as well about the conditions there. And there are certain conditions that do seem to be contributing to the problems, that there's not enough separation in education, in age, and training between the guards and the folks who are actually in prison in particular, and that is causing issues because they know each other's buttons to push, stuff like that. Certainly not a fun situation for them right now in that facility. Getting back to the...
It's a long tail. Even if everything worked perfectly, new guards aren't trained tomorrow. It takes a while to get there. So that is one of the challenges that corrections has to work through as well. We don't get there immediately. Thankfully, they have a plan, and they even presented that to the Budget Committee shortly after the incident at El Dorado, and that will continue to work forward. As we look to the medium term, we have to look at not only that, but how much do we wish to spend, and who do we choose to incarcerate? We can look at, if we wish to incarcerate everyone currently set under the law, how do we make sure we're able to accommodate that? If we're able to change that, perhaps we can look at changing some of the structure. Otherwise, it will take more resources.
And interestingly enough, that's the first time I've heard somebody bring up the concept of let's look at who we wish to incarcerate. And I know in other states, they have kind of changed some of those incarceration rules, and that has helped. So maybe something that we'll see in the legislative session next year. I'd like to thank you guys for joining us. We're out of time. I hope to see you again here soon. It has been a very interesting discussion. I'd like to thank you as well. We'd love to hear your questions. Just email us at kansasweek@kpts.org. For now, have a great week.